Okay, welcome to Indonesia Pavilion once again. Are we ready? If you are, put a thumb up or two. I guess we're all ready, thank you. Okay, so we'll be talking about the role of government and organization in addressing climate issues. So government, may it be the state, the local, provincial, district, local, they play a central role in addressing climate change. But the government are responsible setting the agenda, driving the action, including the legislation, policy development, funding mechanisms, financing access, as well as international cooperation. However, given the scale and the complexity of climate change, it demands more than just a government intervention alone. To set the context, allow me to welcome our keynote speaker. He's the member of the Audit Board of Indonesia. Please join me in welcoming Bapak Fathan Subchi.
Good evening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear Excellencies, dear fellow destination, it is a true honor to address you today at the 30th conference and the parties of the United Nations Climate Change Conference. Here in Belém, on the edge, the Amazon, at the Indonesia Pavilion, we gather with purpose and hope. This climate conference under the UN framework on climate change remind us of the big challenge before us. Time is running short to help the devastating effect of global warming. It is a privilege to attend this UN Climate Summit. This marks the fourth time I have joined a person following the COP I attended in Sharm el-Sheikh, Mesir, Dubai, and Baku, Azerbaijan. At this conference, I have emphasized the importance of policies that drive real transformation and create opportunity for lasting progress. Here in Belém at COP20, I worried at the such policies must also include clear performance benchmarks. Your Excellencies and all delegates. In this light, it is encouraged that at COP30, countries are placing greater focus and action. Implementation must be guided by innovation to address climate risk. In this spirit, we welcome effort to find new finance solutions that will strengthen climate action and accelerate the progress we have agreed to pursue together. At COP30, for us are the heart of our discussion and negotiation. That is fitting as Brazil, like Indonesia, is home the sum of the world's most vital tropical rainforests. These forests are essential for stabilizing our global climate. The leadership of forest nations such as Brazil has never been more important. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to funding, there must be a strong effort to mobilize resources from high-emission countries in the global north. Recognizing the historical responsibility is important. Even as we acknowledge that fulfilling this obligation remains an ongoing process. This responsibility also extends to protecting global forests and to providing sufficient forest finance. At the same time, where possible, countries in the global south can explore ways to mobilize resources domestically. Such effort will complement the essential climate finance the global north countries are urged to profit to those in the global south, especially as this nation face urgent and severe climate impact and the pressing need for adaptation. Dear Excellencies, dear fellow delegates, in the Amazon forest, as we get together here, allow me to share an inspiring story from Indonesia about forest financing. In recent year, Indonesia has changed how it transfer money from the central government to subnational government with forests. This new system called the Dana Alokasi Umum was announced at COP in Sharm el-Sheikh and Dubai. This achievement is not small for at least two reasons. The first, this transformation is fiscal transfer for tropical forests, and the global climate is rooted in Indonesian fiscal constitution, with governance intergovernmental fiscal relation, specifically the 2020 law, the 2022 law, and central on regional government fiscal relation, Undang-Undang HKBD. This fiscal transfer include a forest cover indicator. With the policy providing district and municipality get more funding if they have more forested land along with other factors. The goal is for local government with forests to realize that protecting them bring benefit, especially with help from the funding. Protecting forests help not just local district and province, but also the whole world. Everyone benefit from healthy forests. The second reason is that this way of seeding money for tropical forests and climate has mobilized a lot of Indonesia own fund. It might be the biggest REIT plus funding in the world so far. About $1 billion have gone to subnational government for the forest cover. To compare, all REIT plus funding worldwide since the start is around the $3 billion. In 2024, the transfer has more than tripled, according to the calculation of University of Indonesian Center for Climate and Sustainable Finance. About 3.8 billion in the Dow transfer that year can be attributed to the forest cover of this province and district. Let me say it again, 3.8 billion domestic resource mobilization for forests. The excellent fellow delegates, apologize for the excitement. I have closely followed the historic journey. I was vice chair of Indonesian Finance Commission in the National Parliament when the forest cover transfer policy was created. Now, at my fourth climate change COP, I am serving as a board member of Indonesia Supreme Audit Board, Badan Pemeriksa Keuangan. BPK audit how the state manage its finance as required by Law number 15 of 2004. We check the finance of the central and regional government and other public entity. They're excellent. As you can see, funding for forest is already available. You might also expect that more climate finance for forest will be provided in the future, building on the amount that have flowed into the Indonesia in recent years. While there are still challenges to overcome, this present opportunity for growth, opportunity for improvement. Recently, the Audit Board of Indonesia, BPK, reviewed the financing of the forest and land use sector. The BPK note that this as currency challenge to directly link policy change to reduction is deforestation, highlighting an area for further progress. This situation underscores the importance of enhancing quality to better track and measure progress toward the initial deforestation goal. Given this finding, the BPK has recommended that relevant ministry establish clear standard for measuring and evaluating both planned and unplanned deforestation and part of climate action plan. Indonesia needs to better align funding with effective measure to reduce deforestation and the emission it causes. The excellent, the Audit Board of the Republic of Indonesia (BPK) has the capability to evaluate how state fund are used in the sector and area connected to climate change. I am proud to report the BPK was designed to audit the International Maritime Organization, IMO, for the fiscal year 2021 and 2023. BPK was also appointed as the external auditor for International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) for 2018 and 2019. Additionally, BPK Indonesia is a UN auditor and may also audit the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change (UNFCCC). Last week on November 7, the main session of the Fifth Committee of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, United States, decided to appoint Indonesia as a member of the United Nations Board of Auditors (UNBOA) for the 2026 to 2032 period. Alongside Brazil Supreme Audit Institution and the Cortes Comités France Supreme Audit Office, this decision by acclamation positioned BPK RI as an UN auditor. BPK also offer essential non-audit support such as capacity building. For example, BPK has trained numerous auditors from audit institutions and many global South countries at this training academy in Bali. I am completely confident in the technical aspect of Indonesia's BPK. Their excellent, the Sitcop in Belem placed tropical forest at the forefront. The government of Brazil has introduced an innovative approach to global forest finance trust, the Tropical Forest Forever Facility, TFFF. President Prabowo Subianto of Indonesia has endorsed the facility and pledged state funding to support the TFFF. Effective governance of TFFF funding is essential. Therefore, performance audit on the use of TFFF fund is critical to ensure the facility achieve its intent goal of preserving Indonesian tropical forests. The Audit Board of Indonesia holds a robust constitutional mandate to audit the government of Indonesia and its various entities at both national and subnational level, including public forest entity in forest region. All audit entities are required to address the board recommendation. Dear Excellence, at BPK we believe the climate initiative must set the highest standard to truly fulfill the purpose. Nowhere is this more critical than in climate measure, especially those for our forests that are backed by public finance and entrusted with responsible government. This shall be the true currency of climate finance. Every dollar invested must be transferred into effective, measurable, and traceable action. This is the very essence of the performance audit mandate entrusted to BPK. As I have so today early in my address, BPK has delivered proven result, real world result. BPK show that high standards are not just aspirational but achievable. Let the inspire confidence in all of us to mobilize resources to invest in Indonesia and the champion innovation for our planet forest through initiative like the Tropical Forest Forever Facility, the FFF. Excellencies, fellow delegates, today as we share Indonesia transformative innovation, both our proud achievement in fiscal transfer for forest and our both aspiration for climate, let us not only celebrate progress, let us also spark a shared determination to lead the world in climate action. At the next COP, let us boldly commit to advancing the role of performance audit climate public finance, ensuring every investment is accountable, transparent, and truly service our planet. Let climate performance audit become a pillar of our collective ambition to confront the climate crisis. The global audit community must stand as guardian of the Paris Agreement, upholding our promise to future generation. In this spirit, I call upon the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions (INTUSAI) to take a leading role, ensuring quality, credibility, and trust in climate finance for the world forest nation. From Indonesia to Brazil and across all nations, let us unite our effort and set a global example. May we all receive contain blessing from the Almighty God. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Pak Fathan, for the keynote as well as conveying some important messages. He highlighted the impact of forests for climate stabilization. And of course, thank you, Pak, for initiated the initiatives. It's a fiscal transfer for the local government who can manage or enhance the forest cover. And of course, in conclusion, he stressed out the climate performance audit measuring mechanisms that's crucial to ensure public fund is transparent, accountable, and truly executed for the benefit of the planet. Thank you, Pa. Okay, so I will call upon our speakers to stage. We have two who's going to sit with me and one joining online. I will introduce the first one because I have to make sure the connection is well. She is the head of environmental management and supervision, Ibu Yeni, presenting on behalf of the head of the environment and forestry from West Kalimantan, Bapak Adiyani. Ibu Yeni, am I coming through okay? Could you hear me well?
Yes,
Yes.
of course. Yeah.
Okay. And our next speaker, he is the lecturer and researcher from ITB. That's one of the best university in Indonesia based in Bandung, West Java. Please welcome Dr. Renat Armi Susanti. And next, he's the Deputy Executive Secretary from ICLEI Brazil, Rodrigo Corradi. Okay, for the next agenda, I would like to invite Pak Armi to probably have a bit of presentation to show to all of us.
Good afternoon, distinguished delegates, colleagues and guests. First of all, I would like to say thank you for Ms. Desmona to invite me to present something around 15 minutes to our production of technology. My name is Armi Susandi from Bandung Institute of Technology, and then it is reflected to me to be here in COP30 to the Year of Amazon. And the story I will share today, it is not about technology only, but it's about integration, government, and also our unwavering commitment to our net zero goals. Now here we are in the Indonesia Pavilion. Of course, we have to commitment to accelerating the substantial action of net zero achievement through Indonesian high integrity carbon. So this requires a holistic system that synergizes technology, institution, and people. Now I would like to show you the new technology what was developed since 2020. This platform will support you. We namely form. The platform will support you the follow net sync 2030 and also net zero 2060 commitment in the future. So this is our framework. We are starting introduce you, outline the scale in Natura Indonesia, peatland and forest challenge. And of course, we have some lesson learned from the key insight and fast fire event. And of course, we have some gap analysis, including that impact of the thinking of forest fire government in Indonesia. And finally, we come to the core of our presentation. Our proposed holistic innovation solution will conclude with the tangible benefit and collaboration. And of course, we invite you some collaboration and forward. Indonesian challenge, we have at least three strategies to address peatland forest fire risk. The first one, strengthening and technology innovation and predict system. We cannot fight what we cannot see or predict. The second one, enhancing human resources capacity. The most advanced technology is useless without the skilled people to operate it. The third one, build data infrastructure. Now we're leveraging tools like big data and blockchain for transparency in law ownership and carbon accounting. The fourth one, of course, strengthening multi-stakeholder collaboration. This is not battle for government alone. It requires everyone. What is perspective from the mass media? You can see from the report from this media, this is also perspective of the people. At least we have three things, the perspective from the people. And say we can see from the media. The first one, peatland and forest fire remain unresolved issue. The second one, the government not yet fully coordinated among the stakeholders. The third one, of course, we are still slash and burn, especially in consensus of the palm oil. For those, as a point, the government seeking the new alternative and holistic approach to solve the forest fire problem. Let's see what happened during 2025 actual for Indonesian forest fire. You can see we have more than 2,000, during this year, more than 2,000 hotspots detected by NASA by satellite, including Aqua satellite. This is including, you can find in North and South Sumatra and also in some area in West Kalimantan. This is more than 203,000 affected forest fire, this area of affected by forest fire. And even though our ministry reported we have decreased number of fire compared to the others. And let's see what happened during El Nino, because we have El Nino also will be more effective to the forest fire in Indonesia. In 2015, in 2019, we have the big El Nino of Indonesia. The highest El Nino caused of forest fire, where forest encouragement land, including illegal logging, and of course, exacerbated by dry weather condition. We can say 99% of the forest fire caused by human activity. And the fact also, 80% of are become agricultural plantation area. So, from the lesson, from the painful experience, we have learned two fundamental lessons. The first one, awareness. The second one, awareness. So, two of things is very important one. Now, what is that any threat for because of forest fire? Of course, we have a lot of multi-dimensional threat in Indonesian land. The first land, we have international threats. In this one, it's affect regional relation in Indonesian global standing. The second one, we have social. It is spark conflict over resources. Economically, disruption, productivity, and global scale. Imagining impact on supply chain will be disturbed. And of course, we have health-wise, the health creates a public health crisis, damaging lung, and so on. And finally, we have also threat of ecosystem damage. Ladies and gentlemen, no, actually, Indonesia not starting from the scratch. We have a lot of regulation actually. Next, please. We have comprehensive legal framework from forestry law to environmental management. We have establishment forest and land management constantly, have legal provision for sanction from administrative to service through criminal charge. But how about the implementation? So we have a gap analysis of peatland forest fire management in Indonesia. We have at least 6 gaps we can find from the gap analysis for peatland forest fire management in Indonesia. Starting with regulatory framework, and also we have pure land conservation, including unclear tenure of crates, vacuum where fire and can thrive. And also we have a politician factor, corruption. We have social factor, poverty, and also weak bureaucracy governance. So we need holistic, we look abroad for land forest fire management in Indonesia. And actually, we have started before that. We have early development detection system. We have peatland forest fire patrol, and we have FDR's indicator. FDR is mean fire danger rating system, and we have satellite image. We have hotspot prediction, and we have peatland forest fire sensor. So, however, several times this false alarm. effect after survey will carry out in the field. So we need including cause human activity as a part of the forest fire cause in the future. For those, we starting working with toward holistic information system and end-to-end management platform. We start in preparedness. We come up with early warning detection, and also we starting also risk assessment with campaign early action. Both of them will be early warning system. There will be output and also input for the countermeasure, input for impact assessment, and also input recovery of our action and SOP. And of course, we can use the information to be part of alert system by decision maker, also by peatland forest fire task force, and also by public. So for those, we have something for the new technology imagination. So we next please. We try to transfer innovation digital technology approach for peatland and forest fire management. We try to replicate the real condition, real world peatland dynamic into digital environmental. That's what we can say we can call digital twin technology. So next please. We have holistic. We're starting the holistic end-to-end management platform. We have a platform named RIMBA here. RIMBA is the real-time integrated monitoring for burn alert. We're including everything. We're including many stakeholders to support this one, starting conceptual model from our campus. And of course, we have also land forest monitoring from other departments. And of course, we have peatland monitoring from other institutions, and also land forest fire prediction for with automatic aspect for other aspect. And of course, we need also legality. So we need everything support together, and we can come up with the big whole of the consortium in order to build the new technology platform to forest and to forest monitoring. So the next one, we can see we have this. The new platform, this is a part of the RIMBA platform. Next, please. We call the FOAM. FOAM is Forest Fire Management System that we have right now. The system that including at least 6 features. The two of them is the very advanced feature. For example, you can see FDR's prediction. This is not easy to find FDR prediction. And the second one, we have also hotspot prediction. The next one, we have also weather prediction. We combine everything. Of course, we have a lot of features and others, but 3 of them is very big innovation, advanced innovation for our application. So here, the next one, here is a live demonstration of the form. You can see here, we can show in the COP30, you can see the hotspot observation. We can show hotspot observation, and then we have fire weather index, and we have satellite image observation, and also we have forest fire vulnerability index. All together, we can find the main point of our result is prediction and detection of fire and land fires. This is the main point of our technology. So what implication? We have tried to find, is that possible to tracking when they're starting the burning from the private company. In the right side, you can see we have applied to find who originally burned the forest. For example, I tried to blind the name of the company. This is condition in 2030. We can know where's the land, what kind of company will burn this location with accuracy more than 80%. So next please. And of course, the power of our model, the power of our, next please, our form is come from this data fusion. We including all data, including satellite data, you can see from the NASA, NOAA, Terra, MODIS, Landsat, Sentinel. We have also combined with our computer. We have a secure computer, we calculate the data, including data from the weather, data from the activity during the rainfall, not so far from the forest, including data also from the socio-economic. All together, we can come up with FDRs for the danger system. With some variable, we can predict the later. So that's why we can predict where and when the fire will become up in such a location. So And of course, the next one, I will come to the finish my presentation. We have benefit, of course, with our form application dashboard. We can monitor potential forests. We can monitor where and when the fire will be come up in special location with high resolution. The second one, of course, we can respond with they can respond from the other stakeholder to modification later in order to stop the fire. The last one, of course, we have early action plan, effective community, the quick, accurate calculation of potential victim number. And the next one, we need also, please next, all we can work to sit together, not only government, but also all stakeholder. Next, please. Yeah, not only government, but also the media mass, engineer, and also academician, people, and also media mass. You should all together in order to make sure the system working well, including will be early understand by the community. Next one, please. Of course, we have implementation challenges. The challenges are still aside. We have two challenges, technical challenge, also social challenge. In technical side, we have limited local data, scaling effect of climate change, and technological gap between developer and end user. And social challenge, we must overcome uneven stakeholders' capacity. The complexity of information and culture of disaster awareness is not yet fully embedded. And finally, we have conclusion here. Indonesia, with its own complexities, one the country with hyperbole, wetland and forest fire. We need integration system to support us. And of course, we have finally, we have a form. Form is one of the leading innovation in wetland and forest fire management. It could be developed for the world. And next one is thanks a lot.
Thank you, Pak Army. I will quickly just ask you a question. You have mentioned the challenges, both technical and social, right? So something is good if something that you input is good, so you could produce a reliable outcome. So how confident are you to ensure that this digital twin system is detailed and accurate and could capture the whole ecology or ecosystem of the forest?
Yeah. I think this is very important for if we work such as platform. This one, we make sure about the accuracy. Before the launch of the dashboard or application to the public, we have to make sure the accuracy at least 80% for accuracy. Before that, of course, we need a time to testing in the field. But after 80% of the testing result, we can show the public they can use the system. This is our experience. For example, here sometimes they can be more than 80%, but sometimes less than 80%. But more or less 80% is still good. Normally, theoretically, more than 60% is still good, but we have 80% for accuracy. So we have to apply for many areas of Indonesia, including the use for by police to find what kind of company will burn the location, and then exactly and also the private company don't want to deny the fact, because it is very really accuracy, because we can tracing for the last historical of the data. For example, last week or last month ago, exactly when. Then nobody want to be lie, because we are talking about the quantitative. We are talking about the data.
Okay, so 80% level of confidence, that's pretty good. And with data, nobody can deny, right? Okay, Rodrigo, I'll come back to you later. I'll give the opportunity to the lady online. Ibu Yeni, are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay, Ibu Yeni, please tell a story about the potential in West Kalimantan, what they reach at, as well as demonstrating some climate actions you have successfully implemented in your region?
Thank you very much, Ibu Desmona. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The honorable, all the speakers and our moderator, and also all participants of this meeting that has been joined offline or online. First of all, let's say Alhamdulillah. Thanks to Allah because of His blessing that we can join this meeting in a good condition. And apologize from us because we cannot attend the meeting in person. And warm greeting from our head office, Mr. Adiani, and also our governor, Mr. Yanorsan. And I also want to express our gratitude to the Indonesia Pavilion Secretariat that has been give a chance for West Kalimantan province to be a speaker today to present our policy about the emission reduction, especially in energy sector. Okay, maybe please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Yeni. I'm from Environmental and Forestry Office of West Kalimantan Province. And daily I work as the head division of environmental management and control. Okay, for opening the presentation, first please allow us to play video from our head office. Maybe you can help me to play the video.
Yang terhormat para pemimpin dunia, para delegasi dan seluruh peserta COP30, atas nama pemerintah dan seluruh masyarakat Provinsi Kalimantan Barat, saya menyampaikan salam hangat dan penghargaan setinggi-tingginya kepada seluruh peserta COP30 yang diselenggarakan di Belém, Brazil. Meskipun saya tidak dapat hadir secara langsung, saya merasa terhormat dapat menyampaikan pesan ini secara virtual sebagai wujud komitmen Kalimantan Barat untuk berkontribusi aktif dalam aksi global menghadapi perubahan iklim yang membangun masa depan dan berkelanjutan. Hadirin yang saya hormati, Kalimantan Barat merupakan provinsi terbesar ketiga di Indonesia dengan luas wilayah sekitar 147.000 km persegi dan populasi sekitar 5,7 juta jiwa. Provinsi kami terletak di bagian barat Pulau Kalimantan, berbatasan langsung dengan Malaysia di sebelah utaranya. Kami memiliki hutan seluas 5,5 juta hektar yang merupakan bagian dari kawasan Heart of Borneo, kaya akan keanekaragaman hayati dan menyimpan sekitar 6,4% stok karbon hutan tropis Indonesia. Namun, di tengah potensi besar tersebut, kami juga menghadapi tantangan nyata seperti deforestasi dan degradasi hutan yang memberi kontribusi besar terhadap emisi gas rumah kaca. Dalam 29 tahun terakhir, Kalimantan Barat telah kehilangan sekitar 2 juta hektar hutan. Tantangan ini kami jawab dengan langkah konkret melalui strategi pembangunan rendah karbon yang terintegrasi. Salah satu inisiatif utama kami adalah Circular Bioenergy dan Carbon Innovation, sebuah pendekatan sirkular yang mengubah limbah hutan, limbah kelapa sawit, dan sampah perkotaan menjadi sumber energi bersih, nilai ekonomi baru, serta sarana penurunan emisi dan pemberdayaan masyarakat. Limbah kayu dan batang sawit yang dapat diolah menjadi pelet biomasa arang, dan biogas berpotensi menurunkan emisi 30 sampai 40 ribu ton CO2 ekivalen per tahun bila diterapkan di 3 klaster industri biomasa di Kalimantan Barat, yaitu Singkawang, Ketapang, dan Kuburaya, sekaligus memperkuat ketahanan energi di wilayah pedesaan dari industri kecil. Di wilayah perkotaan, limbah organik dari rumah tangga dan pasar tradisional diolah untuk menghasilkan biogas dan pupuk organik cair yang digunakan untuk penerangan jalan umum dan energi lokal, serta dimanfaatkan sebagai bahan bakar pengganti batu bara di PLTU. Kami juga mengembangkan inovasi sistem pelaporan karbon digital terpadu untuk memastikan integritas tinggi dalam penghitungan emisi, serta mempercepat pendaftaran proyek karbon secara nasional di dalam SRN, PPI, dan internasional. Selain itu, akan dikembangkan pula ekonomi sirkular lokal dan pemberdayaan masyarakat yang melibatkan desa, kemudian pesantren, kelompok perempuan, dan UMKM dalam pengolahan limbah organik menjadi energi, pupuk, dan bahan bakar pelet. Pendapatan dan penjualan energi dan kredit karbon dialokasikan kembali untuk mendukung pendidikan lingkungan, konservasi hutan, dan meningkatkan kesejahteraan masyarakat desa. Melalui model Profit People Planet Integration, Kalimantan Barat membangun ekosistem ekonomi hijau yang berkeadilan sosial dan berkelanjutan. Hadirin yang saya hormati, demikianlah beberapa inisiatif sirkular bioenergi yang akan kami lakukan sebagai bagian dari komitmen Kalimantan Barat untuk menurunkan emisi sebesar 60% pada tahun 2030, serta mendukung pencapaian target nasional full net sink 2030 dan net zero emission Indonesia tahun 2060. Kami percaya bahwa transisi menuju ekonomi hijau hanya dapat terwujud melalui kolaborasi yang kuat antara pemerintah, sektor swasta, masyarakat, dan mitra global. COP30 merupakan momentum penting untuk memperkuat solidaritas lintas negara, memastikan keadilan iklim, dan menegaskan kembali tanggung jawab bersama kita dalam menjaga bumi ini. Sebagai penutup, Kalimantan Barat menghadirkan contoh nyata bagaimana limbah hutan, sawit, dan perkotaan dapat menyalakan lampu, membersihkan sungai, serta membiayai masa depan iklim kita. Ini bukan limbah, ini adalah kekayaan baru untuk berkelanjutan. Terima kasih atas perhatiannya. Selamat sore.
Okay, that's the video from my head office, and I will add some information about the energy policy. Maybe please go to the slide 8. I'm sorry, before that. Okay, thank you. West Kalimantan has targeted new and renewable energy share of more than 30% by 2025 and increasing up to 2050. And in this general plan, remarks the potential of biomass and biogas, part of the new and renewable energy in the province, with approximately 1,308 megawatt can be produced from biomass. And now West Kalimantan has 174 units of biomass and biogas power plants operated with 201 megawatt capacities. Next, please. Okay, this is the cycle model of biomass energy crop supply chain. It is from the permit land ownership, and then will be planting, harvesting, and transferred into the power plant, and as a co-firing in the steam electric power plant. Next, please. The business model of community-based biomass sourcing. First, the land concession holder, together with the local government, agency, and community farmer groups, carries out planting. And then National Electricity Company or PLN partners with university to provide assistance and outreach for the biomass ecosystem development program. The land concession holder agency can cooperate with or appoint a public service unit or other partners to process the harvested crops and waste into ready-to-use biomass. The processed biomass converted to ready-to-use biomass to be supplied to PLN. And the biomass is converted into wood chip biomass for the PLTU. Next, please. Okay, these are our challenges in bioenergy, especially in West Kalimantan. First, biomass supply is unstable, as it depends on palm oil waste and energy wood that fluctuate and compete with export market. Second, logistic costs are very high because remote roads are limited and low density of biomass. Environmental and social risks as expanding plantation can lead to forest degradation and land conflicts with indigenous or local communities. Technology and human resource limitation hinder since the overall biomass operations require specific skills in drying biomass, controlling combustion, and maintaining boilers. Regulation and incentives are not appealing due to biomass tariffs are low, costs are high, and energy authority is centralized. What next to be done? First, a focused study is needed regarding the opportunities for waste-to-energy power plants in West Kalimantan. Biomass power plants should be built in clusters near biomass sourcing areas to ensure supply and cut transport costs. Promote small community-based biomass power plant, promote biomass sourcing policy that ban natural forest wood, and promote residues and community energy plantations. Regulation on tariffs and incentives, including co-firing, need to be enhanced to improve project visibility. Okay, I think that's all from us. I will give it back to Ibu Mona. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ibu Yani, for insightful information, and thank you especially for staying up at this time. I believe, if I'm not miscalculate, it's around 1 to 2 a.m. in Indonesia or in West Kalimantan. Thank you very much. We do value your time. Okay. By the way, anybody know where West Kalimantan is? Put your hands up if you know. If you don't put your hand up, I assume you don't know. So no, you know, one person know. Out of these many people, only one person know. Okay. If I revise my question, do you know Borneo? Also don't know. Okay. Rodrigo, I need help from you. Okay, Rodrigo. Brazil is similar to Indonesia with lots of forest cover, right? And would you kindly introduce perhaps some initiative? Bu Yeni, by the way, I'll get back to you later. I'll finish off all the presentations first, and I'll start asking questions. Would you share some initiatives, some programs you and your team have developed in not just preserving the forest, but also develop or how do I put it into words? Make sure that it's consistent in terms of lots of fundings coming through, just to make sure that everybody is aware to take care and not just following or not just because of compliance, but the people is actually have the high of awareness to take care of the environment.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, this Mona, and thank you so much for the question. And good afternoon for all you guys here. It's a pleasure to be here at Indonesia Pavilion. Thank you for the invitation. I believe that my point in taking this question is try to demonstrate a little bit how my organization actually try to bridge local governments into the process of not only conservation, but being keen actors to try to implement a climate policy that could be not only sustainable for forests, but to be sustainable for a developing future that combines biodiversity, and a climate action that could be integral to our local development. If I may go and use the podium, I believe that would be interesting to use. I have a few slides that I would love to finish quickly so you can continue the conversation. Hello, hello. Thank you so much. Para os brasileiros aqui, boa tarde. Obrigado, pessoal. Thank you, guys. And I would like to introduce a little bit about my organization. I work in an organization called ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainability. Is one organization that is actually headquartered in Bonn, in Germany, but we have a global outreach, 25 offices around the world, one of them in Indonesia, proudly being part of the Indonesia regional procedures to work towards actions that could be done not only considering the federal, the local, the national government, but to be implemental into being complementary with the local and regional governments. But why do we talk about that? We talk about that because since 1999, the majority of the population of the world already lives in cities. We are around today in 56%, if the World Bank is correct, living in cities, going to 2030 to already be around 60, and we must be 2050 at 75% of the global population living in urban settlements, as the United Nations likes to call. So we want to emphasize that when we are talking about cities and regional governments being fundamental for any solutions, what we're trying to emphasize is that people are fundamental for any solutions. We cannot take away people from the solution. We cannot just have technical and technological solutions towards climate. We need to have policies, public policies, that actually could combine actions that could be done in a global sense, but they won't be for sure implemented locally. And based on this concept that all actions are local, that to scale up any sort of actions toward climate change would be necessary to have local engagement, it's going to be paramount to have cities and regional governments engage in that matter. Considering that, I'd like to go to the next slide, please. We want to identify that COP30 demonstrates for cities and regions lots of opportunities and challenges, and we'd like to emphasize a few of them in this presentation. Next one. First of all, is to try to lead by example. When we talk about the Paris Accord, we try to demonstrate that countries had committed themselves with actions that should be implemented towards our arc of 2030 that could give us a world below 1.5 Celsius degree of increase in our global temperature. Okay, so if globally we have this mandate, how can we do it locally? We promote as not only ICLEI, but part of a whole global cohort of international organizations that work into the implementations being done by the cities, as we call this climate compliance, is to try to understand that we need to have a local governance dealing with this matter with each territory. We need to make analysis and to identify how we emit, and the greenhouse gas emissions inventory is fundamental to that, but also a climate risk and vulnerability analysis, because unfortunately we already know that it's not only mitigation, we are already in one adaptation mode in which we need to have analysis how our territory is emitting, but how our territory is being affected and will continue to be affected in the years to come to climate change. We identified that to have an ecosystem service assessment is to bring biodiversity to this process, especially when we talk about Brazil and Indonesia, to take away biodiversity of the solution of the climate issue that we face. It's something that is unthinkable. So we need to make this analysis part of our climate agenda, and then to make a risk reduction plan and a climate action plan that could actually be translated into actions. Actions that could be done not only thinking about our moment right now, but into the months and the years to come. Next one, please. We try to demonstrate that we have already some success cases that we can showcase. The one of that we'd like to emphasize is the case of Recife. Recife is a city, eu sei que vocês conhecem, but there is a fantastic city in the northeast of Brazil, one of the major capitals of Brazil. We are able to not only, throughout this compliance, to demonstrate to an Inter-American Development Bank that would make sense to make specific actions into the city to recover its lakes and rivers, and that this could create a situation of stability into its climate agenda. These are some of the events that we were able to already to demonstrate that are on the loop for the city of Recife. Next one. With Recife in the same pace, we have here this component of integrated urbanization, that what we call... Guys, can I use this one if it's not an issue? I believe it's going to be better. Hello, hello. So we have a component of integrated urbanization, so it's to listen to people. That's the key element that we need to emphasize when we're doing and acting locally. It's not only a technical issue to tackle. Of course that we need basic data that is fundamental to be implied in any action. We need to have data. We need to have data that could be translated into public actions, but in between those two elements, it's fundamental to listen to the people that are suffering close to the shores of a river, that are suffering from the extreme heat. So when we are doing this process, it's fundamental to have any elements of public engagement and participation. To identify that, of course, resilient infrastructure is also, of course, that we're going to need to have lots of gray infrastructure that is already consolidated, but we need to identify nature-based solutions that could be integrated to this process, to use the best technical elements of this, but to also remember that we have lots of nature-based solutions that we as society, as civilizations, we have already been doing this for the past hundreds of years, millennia, and that we need to recover to combine with the best technology that we can to give big solutions. Any components of innovation in urban and housing policies in response to climate risk. This is a fantastic project in Recife that I invited you to listen a little bit more. It's called Promorar. It's a fantastic project to try to combine it in one of the cities that most have people have fatalities in the past 25 years due to extreme weather events in the city that's one of the most affected by extreme climate event in the world, the city of Recife in its metropolitan area, and we're able to support this city-led process that we were able to advance. Next slide, please. So when we try to do this, we also need to showcase what's being done that makes sense. So we are here with the state of Amapá. Amapá is really just across the river, considering that this river is the largest river in the world. It's just not across the river. It's like 45 minutes of flight, if I'm not mistaken, but it's really for 24 hours from boat, from one place to another, to Belém, to Macapá. But Amapá is a fantastic state, the most preserved state in Brazil, that has 97% of the native Amazon forest preserved. And that state, in the same sense, is the state that's considered to be among the two poorest states in the country. So it's a state that makes its share to preserve the forest, but in the same pace has been penalized to not have an economic growth that actually could support its citizens. So in that way, please come back one slide, my friend. Thank you. I promise I'm going to finish. The idea is that we need to demonstrate the opportunities of development. We may not only see that we are going to preserve, and remember, Amapá is preserving the forest, but we need to understand and to demonstrate that people need to be preserved as well. So in 5, 10, 15 years, people are not demanding to have other sort of productions that are going to be damaging towards the environment. So it's something that is an interesting case. Amapá products from the middle of the world that is a fantastic element to try to demonstrate this bioeconomy could make sense if it makes sense towards its population and it's connected to interesting business model. Next one, please. And thinking about challenges. Next one, we are going to a COP in which we're going to have necessarily, and every time that myself, my colleague Tamara over there from my team, and any other colleagues of mine, that we want to showcase the idea of local governments as paramount towards the climate agenda, we need to at least think about these 3 layers. We need to translate to different departments, especially to the population, the positive and negative consequences of the climate agenda. We need to be to be the ones that, we need to be the ones that could connect the dots. It's not, especially when talking about local governments. Local governments deal with the most fundamental elements of the public service. Sometimes it's really complicated to the public official that is over there dealing with issues of health, issues of education, issues of basic work that you're going to have in the city, sanitation, to try to connect the dots, to demonstrate that we need to think about climate as their agenda, not something far away. So it's fundamental to try to translate this to people on the ground, to integrate climate and biodiversity. This is something, and I want to reinforce that, especially here, so proud and happy to be here at the Indonesia Pavilion, is the connection that we may not see those elements as 2 different agendas. Climate and biodiversity are the developing, especially to the global south, our developing agenda. And we need to combine those elements to make sure that our efforts are not derailed and we take away money from different activities that should be fundamental to make containers in the differentiation of climate and biodiversity. And ensure that projects move forward. And in that sense, it's fundamental to have pilot projects that could create new technologies, new elements that could be fundamental to move ahead. But we need to scale up. This COP on, so talking about COP30 and the COPs that are going to come afterwards, must be COPs of implementation. We need to see where the money is going and where the capacity to implement is going, and the time and who is going to be in charge of that. If we do not have these elements in our agenda, the agenda that must be the UN, the parties, civil society, and local governments all together, if we don't see those elements put together in this forum, we're going to be missing the time, missing the leap towards an actual implementation. And for sure, when you are facing already that 1.5 is starting to be a little bit behind our lifetime, that we are starting to have that many critical events around the world, and that we're going to have those being done and affected people majorly in cities and majorly in the global south, reinforce that I'm proud to be in the Indonesia Pavilion so we can take actions as countries that we're going to be so demanded to protect our people, protect our environment, and protect our future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Excellent. Thank you for answering my questions and adding more information to that as well. Yes, we need to translate the positive and the negative of the climate impact. So you're trying to mention educating the people, the local government, to act according to the life we live in right now. And one question from your presentation: how do you actually balance between environment sustainability and ensuring economic progress, because people would not care about the environment if their welfare is not being maintained well.
I think this is a great question because I believe that we need to try, and maybe the pilots that I was talking about, they are the elements to try to demonstrate that this is a false equivalence. The false equivalence that if we are going towards economic development, we are going against environmental development. If we have this element as our key component, we are going only to face and understand the specific dots in which this equation makes sense. And for sure, this equation would have made sense a lot in 25 years ago or 30 years ago. We have been, and you can tell by the companies from both of our countries that are excelling in this past 25 years, that majorly they are moving towards a way to combine economically and sustainable development. That we must be the ones that, of course, can understand, and I believe that this we're gonna differentiate myself to some activists that we're gonna face this in another direction. We are talking about the phase outs and phase ins. We are phasing out from different technologies, but those technologies are not, from a glimpse of an eye, being the one that we're gonna disappear, because in that sense we wouldn't be able to sustain the quality of life, the basic quality of life of our population. But we are in the phasing in of new technologies, and we need to take, and this is what I think that politically is the key element, to try to reinforce the pace, the timing, and the way in which we're going to invest to these new technologies. Because when we identify that we are going, for instance, Brazil is one of the, as in Indonesia, our agriculture is fundamental to our development. We must not vilify the production of our agriculture, not because, for sure, not for our agricultures, our farmers, but for sure not because of our livelihood. We have an estimated that only the Brazilian economy, the Brazilian agriculture, feeds 1 billion inhabitants in the world annually. The numbers must be similar to Indonesia. We must not take this we must see this as an asset, and to try to demonstrate how we can transition this specific capacity that we have into something that could be friendlier in terms of emissions, friendly in terms of recovering ecosystems, and how this could be combined. I believe that we must not see the one against each other. We must understand the points of connection that we can bridge.
We have to shift our paradigm. It's not about a trade-off between one to another, but actually those two elements can go hand in hand together. Okay. I'll get back to you, Pak Army. I'll give the opportunity to ask question to Ibu Yeni. Ibu Yeni, I believe you're aware of the current issuance of Presidential Decree number 110 of 2025 in regards to Article 6 Paris Agreement. Do you see this new regulation could have a positive impact or generate additional revenue for the local communities or for the local government in particular?
Yes. I think the
It's about
regulation related to the
carbon trading mechanism, Ibu.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think the regulation is good, but in our position, it's there is need more clearly distribution authority for the local government, especially about the carbon trading. Because West Kalimantan now trying to contribute more in the emission reduction, for the NDC, for Lunetsing, and also now we go to the energy sector. And how is the distribution more go to the local government? I think that we need more, but now it's better because the opportunity is open for the local government. But maybe in the next implementation, we need more distribution of the authority.
Okay, Ibu Yeni, how do you measure the readiness of the local government and the public as well in building a high quality carbon units?
Yeah, if we talk about West Kalimantan is one of the province I think in Indonesia that has step readiness condition from 2012, I think. Because from 2012, we have developed a lot of policy and a document regarding the emission reduction, especially on a land-based sector, like forestry and also the plantation. We have developed REDD plus policy and also calculate the emission in MRV report. Also, we have developed FREL emission from the forest definite emission level and another policy. Also, we develop funding mobilization. So in West Kalimantan, especially in land-based sector, now there is one project with Green Climate Fund, and the proposal has been approved, but now it's taking to the preparing for the implementation. So for West Kalimantan, the condition is now ready to go to the emission reduction implementation. But it is maybe it's for another maybe need a time, yeah, because to develop document a policy we need a time and also the budget.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Yeni. Looking forward to see more green carbon projects generated from West Kalimantan. Okay, last question before we move on to the next one. I'll see if the time allow. Okay, Pak Army, you elaborated about the digital twin system. So my question is how you integrate that system, that sophisticated system, into the existing climate risk management framework, and just to ensure that the management of forest and land fires runs efficiently and effectively.
Yeah, thanks, Bu Desmona. I think the most of the digital technology, such as a form, it should be a dynamic system. So this should be updated continuously with the data, not only from satellite, but also from the field data. For those, I think we can implement it with existing system in Indonesia with 4 conditions. The first one, we need to continue getting data not only from the satellites, from digital data, but also we verify with the field condition. The second one, we need also the young people, good capacity, especially for information system. And the next one, we need coordination among stakeholders, including from the local government, community, and others, NGO also. So this last one, we need the rule of legal standing of the form as application in order to operate as the wind technology facing the forest and wetland fire. So I think we have 4 conditions, and of course, this is very possibly to implement it to be part of the big issue to facing the forest and wetland forest in using the wind technology. Thanks.
how often do you the data is being updated? Because we want to make sure if the condition that's stipulated in the system is real, reflects the real condition.
For satellite data, we update 4 times a day. 4 times a day automatically. We can download the data automatically. We starting from university. We have the server, the good server. They can do update automatically 4 times a day. For field data, we can do at least one time a month, or later. But at least no more than 6 months, because the field will be changing in the field. So I think we can combination between the satellite data, the data, and also from the field data. I think this more effectively and achieve compared to we can do directly every time we can go to the fire. No, we can do only 1 month, one times a month, and the rest we can do by digital data.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have, I think, 5 minutes. Would you entertain questions from the floor if time allow? I think we can manage to squeeze one. Is there any? I said one. Okay, so, okay, I'll do both.
All right. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the speakers. I think it's such an interesting approach. First, we have the technology. We also have the importance of bioeconomy, nature-based solutions, and I feel like the countries such as Brazil, Indonesia, truly very have a close relationship and approach on that regards. I would like to know the perspective about the holistic approach, and when we are talking about sustainability and also the development, perhaps the importance of just transitions and also intergenerational equity, which is something to make sure that the development truly felt by the local community, especially from the indigenous people. What would be the perfect holistic approach and also integrations with all stakeholders? Thank you.
Rodrigo, may you answer the question in terms of transforming?
I believe that. Thank you for the question, and I believe that's so relevant to have the perspective that, and my idea, it's completely connected. I don't see that the holistic approach is necessarily the one for every step that we're going to be in the implementation phase, but I believe that in the strategic sense, it's mandatory towards an coherent process in which we combine different elements. But and especially when we're talking about the elements of just transitions, we need to identify, and in that sense, I believe that we're going to be fundamental to identify territorially the concepts that we are going to need to make the bridge towards address transition. The Paris Agreement, Paris Accord is it's key to demonstrate that a just transition is as part of the implementation as mitigation and adaptation. For sure, we have been short of taking this in accordance. We have been advancing in mitigation poorly, forgetting and being segmental for adaptation, and completely forgetting just transition. I believe that in the past 2 COPs, we have been more engaged in this element, and I believe that we need to push this forward, especially with funding, but also with the approach, and I completely agree that the holistic approach makes more sense in that way.
Okay, thank you. Just quickly, one more.
Hello, everyone. I actually wanted to ask, from all the challenges that you guys spoke, what is right now the biggest challenge, in your opinion, in addressing climate issues in Indonesia, and what would be a good path in dealing with this challenge?
Okay, what's the most challenge and perhaps the most urgent issue to solve from your perspective, Dr. Army?
Yeah, I think when I starting follow the COP in 2007 in Bali, I think until right now in Belém, I think the most challenge is how to protect our community. This is very important one. We can negotiate with a long time, but the community receive, waiting your response. We are waiting to support in order to make more stronger in the field, because the climate should be changed later, and the more push for the community with lower capacity. So I think the more challenge is how to increase the capacity, how it support the community in order to make their far from vulnerability. This is my opinion. Thanks.
Okay, just so enhance community empowerment by strengthening their capacity building. From you, Rodrigo, perhaps you want to add on to that?
I believe that for sure the question was for Indonesia, in my perspective, most from South America. I also believe that we need to have layers of implementation that could recognize the different ways in which we need to implement, especially when we're talking about capacity and funding. So when we are dealing with the way in which the different countries, and now talking about South America and Latin America, generally speaking, we're going to have different capacities in different territories, different countries going to be unitary, federal governments, more devised, more centralized. Actually, the idea is that we are going to be able to see these different capacities in terms of how we can attract capability and within the cities that are going to implement, and the funding to make this process work in a way that should be transparent, and that should be in a way in which people could identify that their resources are being well implemented on the territory. Because coming back a little bit to your initial question to me earlier, in the same way that we need to have a common way to understand the idea of combining economic with environmental to make sustainable. Sustainability is economical, social, and environmental in the sense. We also need to have transparency in a way in which people could relate and rely on the idea that those funding that we're going to allocate really are going to be allocated to the right direction. We must not think about, if we're talking about $1,300,000,000,000 US dollars for investment annually, that this could be something that goes to the sink and no one is seeing, no one is watching. We need to watch and watch the watchers to identify the best way to move ahead.
Unfortunately, the member of the audit board has left. Otherwise, he could respond to that. But like he said, he mentioned on his speech, every dollar, every cent cannot be wasted, and it have to go to the preservation and conservation of our environment. Thank you once again for your attendance, your enthusiasm, and your participation. Please put a big hand for the speakers. We're going to have a photo op together.